Okay, so today we're going deep on something pretty wild, honestly. Like, buckle up.
Yeah, definitely a bit provocative.
Dmitry Medvedev, right, former president of Russia,
Right.
and he's been making some interesting, to say the least,
Well,
statements
hmm
about Russia expanding its territory.
Yeah.
And I think some people might be thinking, wait, didn't Russia already annex
Yeah.
like 4 regions of Ukraine back in 2022? Like, what more are we even talking about here?
Yeah, that's where things get really interesting, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got Medvedev, now the deputy chairman of the Security Council, so still a pretty powerful guy,
Oh, yeah, huge.
dropping these hints
Yeah.
about possible future moves that could have, global consequences. We're not just talking about a regional conflict anymore.
Right, this is big. So, like, what's he actually saying? What are the words coming out of his mouth?
No, he's being pretty specific, actually, which is what makes this so fascinating. He's saying stuff like, and I'm quoting here, new regions may appear within Russia, and that this experience, presumably meaning the 2022 annexations, may prove useful in the future. So, not exactly subtle.
Not at all. Not subtle at all. And all this is happening with the war still going on in Ukraine, right?
Exactly, which makes you wonder, what's the end game here? How far is Russia willing to go?
Right. Okay, so let's get into the specifics. He keeps using these terms, Donbass, Novorossiya, when he's talking about parts of Ukraine. And he's basically saying they've always belonged to Russia.
Mm.
But, like, what does that even mean? Is he, like, rewriting history here?
Well, that's the key, right? Russia's very deliberately creating this narrative, this historical narrative that's meant to justify their actions. They want to make it look like they're not being aggressive, but like they're just taking back what was rightfully theirs all along. Novorossiya, for example, is an old term, a historical term, for an area that covers parts of southeastern Ukraine, including some of the places Russia is trying to control right now. So by using this kind of language,
Gotcha.
they're trying to tap into this deeper history
Yeah.
and maybe sway public opinion both inside Russia and internationally.
So it's like a story they're crafting to make their actions seem, I don't know, less like an invasion and more like they're righting some historical wrong.
Precisely. And it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah.
It's a big part of their information warfare strategy. They're not just fighting with tanks and missiles, they're fighting with information too.
And we should be clear here, right? A lot of people are calling this out as straight up propaganda.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a way to manipulate how people see things and justify actions that, a lot of the world is against.
Yeah, and I think it's important to remember that the 2022 annexations, they haven't been recognized internationally.
Right.
Most countries condemned Russia's actions. So that lack of legitimacy is a big hurdle for them if they want to try this again.
It really makes you wonder how they think they could pull it off,
Yeah.
Like if there's already so much pushback, what could they possibly do to change things?
That's the million-dollar question, right? I mean, they'd have to find a way to make their actions seem justifiable, at least to some extent on the global stage. Maybe they lean on economic partnerships, try to exploit divisions in international organizations. Or, maybe they resort to even more aggressive tactics.
Right. And let's not forget the pressure tactics they've already used.
Yeah.
I mean, Medvedev said before that Ukraine basically has 2 options.
Yeah.
Side with Russia or cease to exist.
Yeah.
Like, those are some serious implications.
Absolutely. It just shows how high the stakes are here and the danger Ukraine is facing if they resist Russia's ambitions. Like, this isn't a game.
So we've got Medvedev making these statements about, potentially grabbing more land. Russia's building this narrative, this historical justification.
Yeah.
And the global community is pushing back. It's pretty tense.
It is. It really is. And this all raises another question. Are Medvedev's statements just a bluff? Like, is he trying to see how people react?
Oh, interesting.
Or are we watching the beginning of something much bigger? A strategy that could, completely redraw the map of Europe.
Whoa.
Something to think about as we follow this whole situation unfold.
Yeah, a lot to think about.
Definitely.
Definitely.